Hello, good morning. Are you ready for the holidays? Well, if you want a quick and easy gift, I've got just what you need. Hi, I'm Reva with Quality Sewing, and today we're going to be making a gift that everyone can use. So you might have people like, I don't know what kind of gift I want to give them. Well, who doesn't need a little phone holder or an iPad holder? Because these things are great. They'll hold the phone either direction. Well, maybe not this one. It's a little heavy. Hey, there, it still worked. And you can always put an iPad in a bigger one. We're going to work with the smaller size here, though. I liked how this one stitched out a little bit better than this one. So if you do want to make a large size, the size of this is 10 inches by 12 inches is the starting piece of fabric that you're going to use. I'm going to show you how to make the smaller one, which is 7 inches by 10 inches, and it works out to be a nice little size. And then the other thing that they have a little loop, and you'll notice that this loop is really long. I don't like how long that is, so I amended that size and made it a little bit smaller. So for this one, we'll put him to the side now, but just know if you want to use a 10 by 12 inch piece of fabric, you can make a big one, okay? We're using 7 by 10 and making a smaller one. So I have my fabric cut to 7 by 10, okay? And then you need another piece of fabric that is 2 inches by 2 inches. Okay, so our 7 by 10, this is the 7-inch way and that's the 10-inch way. We're gonna fold it in half and we're going to give it a press. Okay, this you want right sides together. This is the outside is the wrong side. With your 2 by 2 inch piece of fabric, fold it in half. Then once you've got that pressed, then tuck the ends into the center seam, and we're going to take this over to the sewing machine and we're going to sew up one side to close it. To balance it out, I do like to then sew down one corner or one end, the skinny end, and sew back on the other side. So that way I have an even setup there. Now, I'm going to position my fabric so that it is just to the right. The edge of the fabric is just to the right of the needle, about 1/8 of an inch. And I like to use my needle down function. Let me move that. I'm just on a regular straight stitch. I haven't changed the length or anything. It's just at the default, which is a 2.5 on this machine. And I'm just going to, let me back that up here, take my needle up. I'm going to start him in a little bit. Okay, so we'll just put the foot down and we're just going to start stitching, and we're going to stitch around our piece. And when I get to the end here, this is in the seam allowance, so I'm just going to turn the fabric and stop with the needle down. Now, I don't know if you noticed, watch this. I'm going to take one stitch and look, it stops with the needle up. On this machine, this is the FOF 750. If I just tap the foot control, it actually puts the needle down for me. So you can work with the needle up or down, and you can still make it fit your needs on the fly. So cut the thread, and now we have our little tab ready to go, and I'm just going to trim the extra threads and we're ready to go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, let's go back over here to this one. I'm going to take my little tab and I'm going to fold it in half. Okay, let's fold it in half, and then we're going to open this up and slip him right into that seam. Or not the seam, the fold, I'm sorry. And I like it a little bit shorter, so I'm just going to have them stick out a little bit. And then when we make our seam, it's going to fit nicely. So I'm going to just clip that into position, and then I'm going to stitch all the way here, and I'm going to, let me get a pen, and I'm going to, or a chalk marker, I'm going to show you. So we're going to sew from here to here, and leave that open, and then sew here and then down all the way to the other end, leaving the whole bottom open. So I'm going to back stitch here, I'm going to back stitch there, back stitch, stop with the needle down, pivot, and stitch down here and back stitch at the bottom. So I'm going to start this by coming into my machine, and I'm not going to start right on the very edge. I'm going to actually come in a little bit, so I'm starting fully on the fabric, put my foot down, and then I am going to, let me adjust it a little bit. I was a little bit over a 1/4 inch. I'm going to go forward a couple of bites, and then I'm going to go backward a couple of little stitches, and I'm going to stop because I noticed that my bobbin is not picking up. So let me just give myself a little bit longer of a tail, get him under there. Does this ever happen to you? It always happens to me, especially when we're on camera, right? Okay, so we're going to try it again. And so the reason why I'm starting in on the fabric is it gives the needle something to bite into, as opposed to, have you ever done that where you've started on a very end and it actually eats your fabric? Oh, that's never good. Okay, so I'm going to sew in a little bit, then I'm going to do a reverse because I want to lock that stitch in, use my scissors, and then I'm going to give myself about 1.5 inches, more like 2 inches, come down here, stitch, reverse, stitch, and then I'm going to come down here to the corner, and I'm going to touch my foot control again to lower that needle and pivot. There is a needle down function, which I can turn on as well. But if you do forget, you can always just tap that foot control. Now this one, I'm just going to go all the way down to the very end, and then I'll give it a little bit of a reverse right there just so it doesn't come unstitched when we're handling it. Okay, so now I've got some little trimmings I'm going to do, and we'll clean them up. Okay, now comes the fun part. So what we're going to do to get our little guy, I'm going to grab him here for you. Do you notice how he's flat in the front and then he's like, he goes vertical and horizontal? So to do that, what we're going to do is take our seam and we're going to open him up so the actual seam is right over that fold, and I did press that fold so I can see it. So I'm going to put my seam allowance right there. You can have the seam allowance go to one side, you can open it up, whatever you want to do, but there I have it all set right in the middle. And I'm going to do, what did I do? Here he is. We're going to also do, we're going to sew and leave an opening. Okay, so I'm going to sew here to here and then come over here to here, and that will leave an opening for our bottom. Now again, I'm going to start in on the fabric a little bit, and then I'm going to use my reverse key to go back and then come forward, and then when I hit my fancy blue line, I'm going to go back and come forward, and I'm going to cut my thread, and then we'll move the fabric to the next spot. Now this one I can start right on that blue line because I'm not on the edge of the fabric. It's easy to stop on the edge of the fabric, but it's not easy to start on an edge of fabric for most machines. Okay, now I noticed that I did have a little bit of I didn't go quite to my line up here, so I'm just going to correct that. There we go. And give myself a little bit more security there. Okay, so now comes the fun. We're going to turn this right side out, and I am going to use my point turner. He's going to be very handy for this. So what I'm going to do is open him up. Actually, I think this one's a little bit wider. We'll open him up, and I'm going to just start flipping this forward. Now, or to the right side. Now what I'm going to do from here is not pull on my opening, but grab it like the top of your socks, and then just pull out the innards of our, and I guess oh here, he's stuck right here, look at that, it's stuck, there we go. So then I'll just pull him to the right side, giving as little stress on the openings as possible. Now our friend, the point turner, I'm going to use the smaller ball. And there's two different sizes. There's a small on one side and a larger on the other. And I'm just going to come in here and poke out my corners. Oh, this is the easy one. Look, here's my tab. Boop, he's done. So then I'll come over here to the other one, and I'm going to go down the seam allowance and just smooth that out And there he is, trying not to poke too much or I end up with a more than pointy corner. And I'm going to smooth down this one and come to, oh, there he is. Come to this corner and then come back over here and smooth out this corner. Now what we're going to do is you're going to need a ruler and you're going to need your marking pen. So we're going to come back over to our overhead, and here is our back. This is the part that's going to stand up, and this is our front. So I'm going to tuck this in. I got my little seam allowances going the same direction. Let me fiddle them in. Always a good idea to iron at this point. But okay, so there he is. So now what I'm going to do is take this and I'm going to measure up 1.5 inches right here from the edge of the fabric. Take your marking pen of choice, and I'm using just a Choco marker so you can see it. There's that line, and then I'm going to go up another 1/2 inch from there and make another line. Now this is going to give us this trough right in the middle. So now we're going to take it back to the sewing machine and I'm going to stitch down these lines. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come in about 1/4 inch and then I'm going to stitch a couple of stitches and then back to the edge, then come forward and stitch all the way down that blue line. I'm using kind of a neutral colored thread. If you're doing a darker color, you might want to make sure, or a specific color, it's always a good idea to match your thread. Okay, so here we go with the next one. Now this next one, we're going to make sure that we go all the way to the edge with that one because we're going to be putting in some rice for some weight. Okay, and then back stitch and cut our thread. And then we're going to give it a little haircut, make sure he looks really nice. I love the thread cutter because it does pull all those little threads to the back so you know right where they are. And then when you start, they're on the top. So again, they're easy to find. Okay, so we're good to go. All right, so now what we're going to do, and this is the fun part. I'm going to come back over to the overhead so you can see it a little bit better. But I have a bag of fluff. It's like a 50-year, I don't know how old it is. But you know, I don't use fluff very much. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your fluff and your point turner is going to come in very handy. But you have this opening right here and you're going to just shove in the fluff. Just pack it in there as much as you can. And then that's going to give you the stand part here. Now, there's different ways you can do this. I tried on the big one. I put rice. I don't like it. It was really hard to seal up. I really suggest that you use the fiber form or the polyfill, whatever you have, and just stick that in there. And then you can pack it in as light or as tight as you want to. I did this one very firm and it worked out really well. And then I got to go this way. And the firmer you have your little pocket, the firmer of a stand you will have. So let's fill that little pocket full of the polyfill. And then we will talk about what we're going to do for the back side. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch this shut. Okay, so let me get my clips because I want to show you a little, quick tip. I'm going to come in here. I have my seam allowance. Can you see the seam allowance is toward the inside, right? So I'm going to come in here and just right along that seam allowance, I'm going to run some Quilter Select glue. This is a fabric glue. It dries very quickly and it doesn't damage your fabric in any way. And then I'm going to come and just pinch it shut. I don't think I got glue the whole way, but you're going to get the idea. Then I'm just going to pin this or clip this for a moment and let that glue set. And there's no glue there, so that's going to be a non-issue for us. Okay, so now let's go to the other side. Now, this little tab is the top. So what we're going to do is we're going to put rice down in here. The reason why we put rice is it gives it some weight so it will hold. And what I have here is some wonderful gourmet rice. No, it's not gourmet at all. It's just rice. And then I took a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and I rolled it. And then you want to make sure you have a decent size hole. Oops, sorry. Oops, ooh, I almost lost that. a hole so that way the rice comes out, and you don't need it to be the full big size, so I just chopped that off. But you're going to stick that in your little pouch, okay? Then use a spoon or something and just fill it up. Now, not fill it up. I did about 3 scoops, give or take. And sometimes you gotta work that rice down in there, you know. And if you end up with your sewing room full with rice on the floor, a vacuum is really a good idea because, you know, you don't want critters finding that rice, right? And so guess what I did yesterday? Yeah, I vacuumed. Okay. All right. So now I've got some rice in here. It's got some weight to it. Then we're going to take more of the polyfill and we're going to stuff it in there. Okay. The same way. Just stuff it up until he's fluffy like this. I'm not going to do that right now because I want to show you how to stitch it shut. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do for the stitching it shut. You can either do it on your machine, which I really love to do. And if you do that, you're going to want to try to finagle all the stuffing away from the edge so you can stitch it shut. But I know, hand is a 4-letter word, but it does work out nicely for some things. And I guess it's the same thing like with using a seam ripper. If you know you're going to have to do it, it's not so bad. So I'm just going to put a little knot in the end of my thread here, and I have more thread than I need. It's a longer piece than I need. But what we're going to do is we're going to come up on one side. So now if you think about your seam allowance, you got that fold. My knuckles are the fold, right? So you're going to come up through one fold, go straight across into the fold of the next piece, then pivot and slide under the fold and come out at a stitch length of what, maybe 3 millimeters. And if you don't know what that looks like, go to your machine, set your machine for 3, and then you'll see about how long that is. But I'm going to come in here first, and I'm going to go into where the stitches already are and come up. Then I'm going to come straight across because I'm already up in one. I'm going to go into the seam or into the fold, and I'm not going through but that one layer of fabric. Then up. I don't know, can we zoom in any more on that, you think? Let's see if we can. I don't know if we've gotten that close on the camera before. Ooh, look at that. Oh, look at that magic. Okay, so now I've come out on this side, so I'm going to go straight across and go into the fold right there, and then take that one little stitch and come straight out, then go right over to the other side, straight down into the fold, then up. So you're just going, you know, up, over, down, up. You see, just making it like it's a ladder stitch. And then you can see my little stitches right there, but when I give them a little pull, you're not going to see them. They're going to disappear into the seam allowance. Okay? And then when you go to make a knot, I usually will end up over, you know, when you end up at the end, find one of the machine stitches, go underneath it, go around your needle, pull it, taunt, and I usually do that twice. Then insert your needle down into the fluff, come out the side, and give that a little bit of a tug and cut it off, and then your tail is inside. So you've stuffed the front, you've stuffed and you stitch it up, and then you put like 3 little scoops, so that'd be like what, 5 or 6 tablespoons of rice in the little guy, and then you fluff it with fiber fill, and you want it fairly firm so it can support the phone, and then stitch it up, and you've made a really cute and easy gift right off of just off of a leftover piece. And if you have a leftover 10 by 10 inch square, a layer cake, that's perfect because you have enough for your tab, you've got enough for the piece right there from a layer cake piece. So anyway, have fun with that, and I hope to see you next time, but have fun making gifts that people will actually use and enjoy.